Hi everyone, today I want to show you how to make a Pinhead robot step by step. The very first thing you need is a drivetrain, and I have a video on how to make that. Except for the fact that this one, the front and back beams are 2x18 and not 2x20. Okay, so here are all the parts that you'll be needing. First, you need some gears, 2 with 60 teeth, 2 with 36, 4 with 24, and 2 with 12. Then you need 4 motors in addition to the 2 that you already should have on your drivetrain. You also need 4 of these wheels, and they're essentially wheel hubs connected to balloon tires. Make sure you have a brain for your robot. Then get 4 of the 2x2 center offset round lock beams. Next, get 2 2x20 beams, 4 2x18 beams, a 2x16 beam, 3 2x14 beams, 2 2x10 beams, a 2x9 beam, and 2 2x5 beams. And then you need all these corner connectors that I'm about to put down here. Next, you need 6 1x18 beams and 4 1x16 beams. You also need 2 metal shafts that are 6 inches long, 4 2-inch long capped shafts, and 4 1-inch motor shafts. Then get 2 of these triangle beams and 2 smart cable anchors. After that, get pitch standoffs in these lengths. Now the last thing you need is a variety of different pins and some rubber shaft collars, spacers, and washers. And for this first step, you need your 2x20 beams and 8 of these 0x2 pins. You need to snap the pins onto the beams just like this. Next, you're going to have to snap these beams onto the robot. You want to do that like right in the middle, so it has to basically align with this little gear like right there. Once you're done with that, it should look something like this. Next, take your triangle beams and 14 1x1 pins. Put all of the pins into the shorter side of the triangle, but make sure that how you do it on each of the triangles is basically like on the opposite side so they're symmetrical. Then snap the triangles onto the red beams like this. Next, get out 4 1x1 pins, one of your motor shafts, and a motor. Put the pins on right here and put the shaft on right there. When you put on your motor, make sure that the shaft aligns with the rotating part on your motor. Also make sure that your motor is on sideways to save space for other things. Then repeat the process on the other side. Now get 2 rubber shaft collars, 2 washers, and 2 12-tooth gears. First you take the washers and put them onto the onto the motor shaft. Those are meant to reduce the friction in between the gear and the beam. Now put on the gears, and then lastly put on the rubber shaft collars to hold everything in place. Then take two 60-tooth gears, four 1x1 pins, two 1x18 beams, and a 6-inch metal shaft. You want to put your metal shaft right here, but don't push all the way through yet. Then put two pins on each gear, but with the pins on opposite ends. Now take two washers, put one of them on like this, and then take one of your gears and put it on after that. Now slide one of your beams onto the shaft. Make sure you do it on the third hole. Now once you do that, you have to align it so that you can put the pins of the gear and snap them onto the beams. Then get two rubber shaft collars and put them onto the shaft. Next, slide on the remaining beam and gear. However, you need to be careful here so that the pins on each of these gears match up perfectly. For example, if you turn the gear in different directions, the rotation of the beams would obviously not match. Once you do have it in the right rotation though, make sure to snap everything together and push the gears and beams towards the 2x20 beams. Make sure to push the stoppers against them too to hold everything in place. Now the two arms on your robot should be parallel and run like this. Take these two pitch shafts and snap them at the very top of your robot. For the next step, you need two 1x16 beams, two of these 3-inch pitch shafts, two 1x1 beams, and your other 6-inch metal shaft. Take your metal shaft and put it right there, but again, don't push it all the way through just yet. Now put on the beams in this order. Push the 1x16 beams outwards towards the 2x20s, and then take one of your pitch shafts and snap it onto the hole right next to where the metal shaft is connected. Next, take two rubber shaft collars and put them on to just hold everything in place. The last pitch shaft should go right here, but in between the 1x18 beams. Now set aside your drivetrain and get two 2x18 beams, two of your wheels, two of your capped shafts, five 1-inch pitch shafts, two rubber shaft collars, two washers, 8 1x1 pins, two center offset round lock beams, and just any other random shaft, because we're not going to actually keep it in the robot. Now, plug the shaft into one of the wheels and take a rubber shaft collar, push it all the way down, and then set that aside. Now take one of the offset lock beams and put 4 pins on it. After that, you're going to slide it right onto the shaft like this so it holds the rubber shaft collar in place, and then remove the metal shaft. Do the same thing to the other wheel. Then take one of the beams and put in the pitch shafts in the following positions. Put in the cap's metal shafts right here. Now put in washers to minimize friction, and then slide on the wheels with the flat side facing the beam. Now just take the remaining beam and snap it on. Get a 2x10 and a 5x10 beam. Then get a 36 tooth gear and two 24 tooth gears. Take a motor and 4 of these pitch shafts. Also get your motor shaft, 4 1x2 pins, a 1x1 pin, and 6 washers. Now take your 2 beams and align them like this. Then take your motor shaft and put it right here. You're going to end up putting your motor on like this. However, we need to do the pins first. So you need to take the 1x1 pin and put it exactly right there, because when you put everything together, this will push against it if you don't do that. Now take the remaining pins and press them on like this. And then attach your motor. Now put the gears on the shaft with the wheels, with the washers on both sides of them. Put the larger gear on the shaft with the motor with washers on each side of it too. Put the pitch shafts on the corners of the 2x10 beam. Now snap these two together like this and make sure that the gears are all aligning and that none of the washers fall out. Now repeat the process to make a second half of the robot, except make sure that everything is perfectly symmetrical and the opposite of what you did on the other side. Now we'll be connecting these together. So get a 2x14 beam and 4 of these pitch staffs. Place these in a way that the motors are sticking up towards you, and that the wheels are more shifted inwards towards each other. And then put the pitch staffs like right here, and snap the beam on so that it connects both of the halves. Get a 2x14 beam, 4 1x2 pins, and these following connectors. Snap 2 of the connectors on so that you can attach the 2x14 beam. Snap on the remaining connectors here, and then snap on the pins. Get 2 1x18 beams and 2 1x16 beams and snap them on right here using the pins that you just put on. Now we're going to attach the 1x16 beams at the bottom of the robot, so get 4 1x1 pins and 2 of these connectors. Put all the pins into the connectors just like this. You're going to use that connector piece to connect the 1x16 beam to the 2x14. Once you finish, it should look like this. Next, get 4 of these connectors, a 2x18 beam, and a 2x16 beam. We're going to take those connectors and place them in the following positions with the flat side facing outwards. Then snap the beams onto the connectors. Then get one of these 1x18 beams, 4 of these corner connectors, and 8 0x2 pins. Take all the pins and attach them onto the robot frame. Then connect the connectors to the pins. Make sure that all the connectors are facing outwards like this. Now, take your beams and attach them onto the connectors. You're gonna have to make sure though that you leave 1.5 inches like left over at the bottom that you can see. Make sure that you get this part super precise because it's where the pin's gonna be traveling up and down. It needs to be the right size for it to travel without getting stuck or falling down. So at this point you'll be done with the front of your robot, and the main thing you have left to do now is to connect that to what you had on the drivetrain. So get that back out as well. And to connect these two, you'll be needing 4 3x0 pins. You basically want to connect them in this order, and to do that, you want to take the pin and snap that partially through right there on the front section frame. And then you want to get the beams that are connected to the drivetrain currently in between the two that are connected to the front of the frame. And you want to do it in a way that you can get the pin to go through all 3 layers, like this. And once you have the bottom ones connected, it's time to move on to the top. You're going to do that in a similar way, except you're going to connect it further up. You want to connect it 5 pitches higher or 2.5 inches higher. And it's also really important that these beams right here are all parallel so that the front section of the robot will always stay upright at the same angle. Now you need to attach the brain. So get your brain out, a 2x9 beam, and all of these connectors. Now what you're going to do first though is attaching these corner connectors right here. They should be in a spot where they help hold the triangle down to the drivetrain and still have a side that's facing up so you can build off of it. And then just take your 2x9 and snap it onto the connectors. Then get out like 9 1x1 pins and snap them all onto the 2x9 pin right in the middle here. You're going to be using that so you can attach the brain. There's actually a lot of different ways that you can do this, but this is just how I prefer to do it. But feel free to do whatever you want. Now just take the remaining connector here and snap it at the front of the drivetrain. The point of this is to hold up the front section of the robot so it's not too low for the pin to make it in. And now this part is optional, but I like to use these cable anchors here to hold down my cable, and I just want to show you where I would put it if I were you. Um, this part isn't required, but it would really help if you used it to help with your cable positioning. The last thing I like to do is to add a little thin plastic sheet right here. It helps. What it does is it basically prevents the game pins from getting stuck there during a match. And then if you want to make your intake more effective, these two spots right here, I put those beams there on purpose because it's a great spot to make guides off of. I do have another video though that shows you how to do that, so you guys can go watch that. Aside from that though, the robot is done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.